We're now zocha to be completing Shoftim. This is the 21st Perek of Shoftim. This is the last part in a very, very harsh and seemingly difficult time in Jewish history. So what happens is that from the story, now all of the people of Israel, they make a promise in mitzvah. And their promise is, Ish mimena lo yitin bitola binyamin leisha. Now we're cutting off Binyamin forever. None of us are going to be able to give our daughter to Binyamin in marriage. And so the 600 people are in trouble, because what are they going to do? Now, perhaps this pasuk was actually before they went out to war with Binyamin. So this was part of their process of having a war with Binyamin, is that we're going to knock them down by sword, we're going to wipe them out, and we're going to make sure that nobody marries into Binyamin. But then the people come to Bethel and they're crying. And they're crying. And they say, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? They've come to their senses. Finally, we're coming full circle, because Lama Hashem Elokei Yisrael Haisazos BiYisrael Lahapkid Hayom Yisrael Shevet Achad. One of our Shvatim is going to go. We're going to be 11 Shvatim. Now, that is significant, because Hashem created the world for 12 Shvatim. We have 12 months. We have 12 zodiac signs. There is the number 12 is a unit, and that unit is in nature and throughout everything as an important part to represent that 12 is essential. And through the Chaverim Kol Yisrael, all 12 Shvatim, we have protection, and we're not going to have protection. How could this be? How could it be? We're supposed to be protecting the Knesset Yisrael. It doesn't happen if we're not able. And now what's going to happen? We're going to have a missing Shevet. And they start to cry. And that is why perhaps that the tears, the gate of tears, the Shar D'Ma'os of HaKadosh Baruch Hu never closes. Because crying, that innermost, something is not right, and the expression of it into reality is so very powerful. And so now, what do? They're turning it around. We're getting somewhere. In the morning, Vayeshkimu ha'am, they wake up early, Vayivnu sham, there they build a mizbeach. Should they be building a mizbeach? Probably not the best spot to be building a mizbeach, but okay. Vaya'alu olos shlamim, and they give a korban to Hashem. They're seeking Hashem's assistance. They're coming full circle. They're on the right frequency again, and they say, okay, so what are we going to do? So their first idea is, who did not promise this? Because if anybody did not fail to come when we called everybody up, great, we will take them. And now, on the other hand, Motamut, they might be able to solve the problem, but we also are going to kill anyone who didn't do it, because we made an oath, everyone together, and whoever doesn't follow in that oath, whoever doesn't fight the battle of when all of Am Yisrael are needing to be in battle, what happens? We have a battle cry. Everyone has to do it together. And perhaps if we just for a moment have that feeling that right now that we have a divisiveness among Klal Yisrael for what we know is happening, which is that some people are feeling that they're the only ones fighting the war, some people feeling that they are not doing anything. And so here we have the idea of where it's coming from. Well, we all made an oath. We all took a pledge. We're all supposed to be doing this together. It doesn't feel right to us, for some of us, not to be doing it. And they come across and they find, and they say that there is an area and of those people, and they find them in Yoshvei, in Yavesh Gilad. Yavesh Gilad is an area that I guess they refused to come, they didn't help out, they were more pacifist, they didn't do it, and so the people of Yavesh Gilad come, and they take 12,000 warriors, and they say, go and kill the women and the children, the people, the women and the children, and that's exactly what they do, and They kill any man that has already, have a wife, and they find that there are 400 maidens, basulos that never had a husband, and they bring them to Shiloh, and that's going to help, because now it's amazing. Instead of remember, there are 600 men, so now we have 400 ladies, and so great. But that would only help for step number one. Now, again, this is a bit misguided. I don't know that this is exactly orthodox to kill out a whole city. Perhaps Hora Asha'ah, perhaps to set a precedence, you can't do that, then there isn't understanding why Yavesh Gilad should be killed. But this does not, again, this is them being twisted, but they're doing it at least l'shem shamayim, so, we'll let's go on from there. And so that's what they do, and they give them, so that's the step number one. But now, there's not enough of them, because we're still missing 200. And we need to satisfy the people, because otherwise the tribe is we need as many women as we can get. So what do? The elders of the community say, okay, so there is, we have to do something else. And so they say like this, well, here's a new thing. There's a chag, there is a yantif, there's a holiday, and that holiday for all of us is who never really fully understood the importance of it, but there is a holiday called Tu B'Av. Now, Tu B'Av is when the young maidens would go out into the field. They would be dressed in white, and they would, the men would come, and they would kind of, it would be a shidduch time, and it would be great, and then that would lead to, beautiful marriages, and everything was good. The issue with the amazingness of Tu B'Av is that the girls would wear white, and those white dresses would be borrowed dresses, so that everyone was really biyachad, everyone was together, and it was a time of simcha. It was a very beautiful thing, the creation of family life. But here, what's happening is that Tu B'Av is going to take on more of a role, because when these women go out, the men of Binyamin are instructed to grab 200 of them and take them for your wives, and that should be okay. Now, that is also a bit different than one would expect to hear. Just go out and grab and take it for the Binyamin people. However, we have that is one idea of the special power of Tu B'Av. The Gemara talks about that Tu B'Av is a significant time, just like Yom Kippur. Well, why? And so the answer really, or one of the answers, is, first of all, the neder, the oath that the people made that got them into this problem even to begin with, was going to be over on Tu B'Av. It would either be that it was not just them, but the next generation, their children could marry into the Binyamin, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of different ways to interpret, but essentially the problem was going to be fixed on Tu B'Av, and the idea of and the significance of this whole understanding. And how it was really specifically for this time period is highlighted in the 19th pasuk, because in the 19th pasuk it talks about that they would go to Asher Mitzafona, all the directions, Safona Labesel, Mizracha Hashemesh, Mizlisa. Like, there's a lot of details for this particular place in Shiloh. Why is it so detailed? To highlight that all of the details are important, that all of what that this is for a specific reason in this specific time, and it is unique to be able to handle this specific problem, to be able to get the Bnei Yisrael to not lose a shevet. So that's exactly what they did. And so if anyone complains, then understand that this is for the time being. This is just what's going to happen, and grab for yourself a wife, and go off ride off into the sunset. And that's exactly what Binyamin did. They took wives from the people who were dancing, and they carried off as many as they needed, and they went back into their territory, and they rebuilt their towns, and they settled in. And Baruch Hashem, we were able to save one of the Shvatim. And the last line of the Perek is so significant. Bayamim ha'im ein melech b'Yisrael, ish hayashar be'einav yaseh. In those days, there's no king. Everyone just did as they wanted. Why did we get to a point where we're having to grab women, where we're having to kill out people that are not loyal, where a Shevet is in jeopardy from dying? Why is it that we had a civil war and widespread avodah zarah, and the sacredness of the family life has been disrupted to a point where people are just grabbing women and doing things that are just not appropriate, not respectful of what it is to be a Jew? Is because we didn't have good leadership. And it's going to highlight the importance of getting good leadership. It's going to highlight the importance of not following in just whatever your heart desires. We don't live on the principle of the pleasure principle. We don't have just eat, drink, and be merry, for you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. We make inroads and we follow in the ways of Hashem, so that the depth and the quality of our lives are good for ourselves, for our family, and for the whole world. We're Or Lagoyim. These last prakim highlighted what could happen, that we're not born lights. We're not born tzaddikim. We have to make those choices, and those choices are really hard. Human nature doesn't always make it easy, because we have drives, desires, temptations, natural ones. When kids are young, they have drives, desires, temptations. And as we get older, we just have a more refined, perhaps, drives, desires, and temptations. And when you do things in accordance with what you see, when you're the melech and you're of your own malchus, then there's no way to avoid, and it just leads you down a rabbit's hole. So this is the last part of Shoftim. We end Shoftim with an understanding of why it was so important for them to follow the Shoftim, why it was so important for them to have leaders, why when they come into a country that they have to conquer, are there so many negative influences. And not only that, but the freedom that they have. They are B'nai Chorin. We're going into Pesach. We're B'nai Chorin. We're free. What does freedom really mean if not to make decisions that perhaps are even harder to make? When one is a slave, it's pretty easy. You just follow. You have no achrayus, no accountability or responsibility. And then all of a sudden you become free, and there are choices to be made. And making the right choice in accordance with Hashem is not easy. That's called bechira. That's why we are rewarded so heavily. And Hashem keeps on saying, do the right thing, you get rewarded. Do the right thing, you get rewarded. Why are we always in a positive reinforcement or a negative reinforcement cycle? Why is it that Hashem is always offering us a reward? Because He knows human nature, that we need it. If we don't have it, then what happens is we go off and find our own rewards and our own pleasures, and it's to the detriment both of ourselves, of our nation, and of course of society at large. And so the completion, when we're talking about Shoftim, what we're really talking about is how to be the right Shoftim, judge and jury for yourself in accordance with what it means to be true, which is the Yashar Be'enei Hashem, not Ish HaYashar Be'einav Yaseh. That's the opposite. Don't do what's good in your eyes. Do what's good Be'enei Hashem and B'nei Elokim Be'adam. And with that, I want to dedicate the completion of Shoftim to someone very, very special, to a couple actually, to Rebbetzin and Rav Ralbag. My Rav, when it says Aseh Lecha Rav, Knei Lecha Chaver, when it tells us that one of the most important things that you can do is get for yourself a Rav, it's very, very important. Our job, and one of the very large responsibilities that we have, is to inculcate in ourselves and in our families what it means to follow in the ways of a Rav. My entire life, we're just coming from Purim. I'll digress personally for just a moment, just to say that my entire life, every Purim, we go a far distance to be able to get a bracha from a Rav David Cohn, who is such a kingpin in setting the tone in our home. That trickles down to everything. And on a daily basis, to be in a community where the Rav and the Rebbetzin are so mashpia on ourselves, both in shilas, but also in hashkafa and machshava, and to also be involved with our children. When my son comes home and he sees for the first time Rav and they embrace and they're talking as though they're close, do you know what that means? That is how you get to be able to be Yashar Be'inei Elokim Ba'adam, when you have role models and people to follow. And so Mir Hashem, Rav and Rebbetzin Ralbag should just continue to be mashpia on our community, and everyone listening should just try as hard as you can to make that deep connection to your Rebbeim, because to have a Rav, to have a Rebbetzin, to have people that are in the position of leadership, because with that, when you have that, what you have is you have an anchor, and that anchor goes a very, very, very long way to prevent and to hold back from all of the movement that a storm can bring. And now we'll be on to our next Perek in our next Sefer, which is going to be Shmuel Aleph.